Hello once again for everyone. I see that more and more of you are joining. So thank you for joining the webinar on what's new in Dynamics 365 Business Central version 2022, Wave 2. Each time a new version is released and Stefano Demiliani shares fresh insights on a new version of Business Central. My name is Domas. I'm responsible for sales at Simplanova, and today I'll be the moderator of this webinar. And before we'll start the main topic, I believe majority of those who have joined already know what Simplanova is. But for those who haven't worked with us or haven't heard about us, let me shortly introduce who we are and what we do. So at this moment, just give me a moment. I see that I'm using the camera in the wrong way. Just a second. Oh, so we are helping partners in three main areas. One of them is fixed price upgrade services. So during the last 9 years, we've delivered more than 400 upgrade projects from all kinds of versions, from classic to RTCs, from RTCs to AL, latest BC versions, on-prem, cloud, and so on. Also, we can help with development services and resources for Dynamics partners. And last but not least, we have created various automated upgrade tools for partners in order to save time and make life for developers easier while handling upgrade projects and trying to automate everything as much as possible in order to avoid all the manual work and, of course, having less space for errors while working on the project. And right now, I would like to shortly introduce you our tool that we've launched just recently, Simplanova's AL tool, or you can call it SALT. This tool is already available for all the partners, so you can contact us at simplanova.com, leave us an inquiry, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. So what does this tool, how this tool works, and what is the main idea of it? So if you are doing an upgrade to the latest BC versions, first of all, you need to convert or upgrade your current solution to the latest RTC version, then convert everything with TXT to AL tool, and all the results that you will get from this tool, you should run once again through SALT. And as a result, what you'll get, well, most of the time saving comes from moving codes to events. When commands are extracted from code unit delta files, all events are removed from AL files to dedicated to event subscription code unit and divided by object type if it's table, page, or code unit event. And if there's a possibility, code modifications are also moved to the closest available events. What about triggers? Well, all trigger modifications are automatically moved to AL triggers. Tool also takes care of temblob issues. For example, if temblob usage is refactored into using the dedicated temblob code unit together with all functions. Also, Simplanova's AL tool handles breaking changes, file management issues. For example, if whenever a deprecated function from the file management code unit is used, it is refactored to work in AL. And also, we are working on the functionality that all options could be converted to enums automatically as well, which will definitely save quite a lot of time. So as I've mentioned, if you would like to know more about the tool itself, just visit simplanova.com, leave us an inquiry, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Also, within the 25th of October, we'll have another webinar, a case study webinar with the client of ours who have already worked with the tool on his project. So he will share his experience how the tool helped, what was the main, where the main parts that tool was useful, and so on. And right now, getting back to today's main topic, I would like to ask, first of all, for all of you who will have questions for Stefano, to use Q&A section instead of chat. And within the end of session, Stefano will answer the questions. Of course, everything depends on the time that we'll have. And the recording will be sent also within upcoming days via mail to you, so you could see the recording. So right now, I would like to give a word and invite Stefano to continue today's main topic regarding what's new on the Wave 2 version. So Stefano, a word to you.
Thanks, Thomas, and thanks every one of you attending this this webcast. You should see my screen now. This webcast is, as every major release, we plan to have a moment where we want to summarize all the new things and features available in the new release. So, as usual, we have prepared an agenda that covers all what you will see in the new release, version 20, Business Center version 21. News can mainly group into the following three groups. So news for administration, new for the application part, and new for the news for related to the developer parts. As said, I prefer to have the question and answer at the end in order to avoid losing time during the presentation. So there are quite a lot of things to explain. So I will prefer to start immediately. Let's start with the administration part. The administration part is related to tenant administration and, in generally speaking, the environment administration. And I want to start with something that is between a reminder and a news. If you remember, I think in May, I wrote a post, link is here, explaining that the notification part that you have in the tenant admin center will be deprecated in favor of a new modern notification center experience that is called the Microsoft 365 Message Center. Microsoft 365 Message Center is the primary channel today for communication in the entire Microsoft 365 and Dynamics 365 ecosystem. So also Business Central will start pushing notifications into that environment. So if you are using today the notification recipient in order to receive emails, notification about, for example, upgrades, problems of the tenant, please remember that this will be changed. And please remember to add your user to the message center, because this will be the notification, the portal where you will receive notification. And Business Center 21 adds lots of new communication directly into the message center. So we will not receive that notification to the notification recipients, but you will receive this notification only in the message center. Another, I think, big improvement that Business Central to version 21 introduces related to the administration part is the support, finally, for service-to-service authentication in administration APIs. It's extremely important because in this way, you can now execute administrative operations without direct authentication, so without in a silent way, and this opens a tremendous list of possibilities, because for example, you can automate the scheduling of operations, uploading extensions, scheduling, you can silent schedule the backup of your tenant and something like that. So it's a more easy way to handle using Business Central administration APIs. And it's with supporting in Business Center 21. another important feature related to the administration is the possibility now to restore deleted environments. Until now, if you delete an environment, you do that with intention, because when you try to delete an environment, a lot of messages ask you if you want to do that. But if you answer yes, 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 and you the environment is deleted, you have no way to restore that environment. Starting from Business Central 21, an environment that will be deleted is automatically placed in a soft delete state, and it remains in a soft delete state for 7 days. After 7 days, it will be physically deleted. But in this window, in these 7 days, you can restore now the deleted environment directly from the Business Central Admin Center. So without opening support ticket to Microsoft, you can directly have an interface to restore the environment. This interface is actually not yet available. You will have a button in the Admin Center starting from November. So don't search this now, but please remember that Business Center 21, you can delete environment and restore deleted environment. This covers the main topics related to administration. So no lots of new features in administration related to the SaaS environment. I want only to mention that because some partners asked me in the last days. Please remember that Business Central 21 is also actually available on premise, and in the on-premise version, you will never have the service tier administration, the application, the Windows application for administering the service tier. In Business Center on-premise, only PowerShell now is supported. So you will not find in the DVD the Windows application to administer the environment. So it's not a missing feature by Microsoft. It's not an error, but it's just because now PowerShell is the only available administration tool for Business Central on-premise. News related to the application part are quite a lot. Some of them are small, some of them are big. One of the first news is that in Business Center 21, you will find a new voice called, if you search for them, called Financial Reports, that rename what is called in the past Account Schedules. And if you click on Financial Reports, open a list of financial reports that you can have. You can add your own. Some of them are predefined, like cash flow or something like that, but you can add your own. And if you edit a financial report, now you have what in the past was an analysis and an account schedules now are called, you have what is called a row definition and column definition. You can edit row definition and column definitions separately from the financial report, and you can also copy column definitions in order to make variants between different analyses. Business Central 21 also adds, again, new pages. Also, Business Central 20's new pages were added for easily finding records. Business Central 21 now adds a lot of pages for finding lines, documents, and posted documents. So you can have in this release all these pages that permits you to directly retrieve posted purchase invoice line, posted purchase chip lines, purchase credit memo lines, and so on. So lots of pages that directly permits you to direct access to the lines list. This page was not available in the previous release, so lots of time partner customizations was required in order to expose these lists to the customer. You can also have open documents list for lines, and production order component lines is a new page available in Business Central 21. So new page available for easily finding data. Another nice feature in Business Central 21 is the possibility for some countries. Some countries have normally a business requirement that is related to when using VAT statements. in that statement, they need to use a date that normally is not the posting date. Sometimes it's the document date, and sometimes it's totally another date. Business Central 21 now, to satisfy these business requirements, introduces a new field on documents called and also on entries called VAT date. This field exists now on all purchase documents and for all sales documents and on all journals. And how this new field works? In these new fields works in the general ledger setup. Now you have a new field called default VAT date. And in this new field, you can specify what is the default VAT date behavior. So, for example, you can set up posting date or document date. This means that if you set, for example, that your default VAT date is the posting date, when you create a document, in the document, you have a new field called VAT date. And this new field is automatically pre-populated with what you have specified in the setup. So if you have specified posting date, this field is automatically filled as the posting date of the document. When you post the document, for example, you post a sales invoice, the sales invoice has, again, a VAT date inside that document. And if you check also the general journal as a VAT date field that you can specify for the VAT date. It always supports the setup. So if you have a option in the setup field like posting date, it proposes the posting date that you can change. Also in VAT entries, you have the field called VAT date, and this field is automatically populated from the document to the posting process until the VAT entries. In the VAT entries, you can also change it after posting. So you have the possibility to change this field also after posting. So these fields permits you to satisfy all the business needs related to VAT exchange between the regulatory entities, where in different countries have different logic with the VAT date field. Now you have a dynamic. Instead of only using posting date or document date, now you have a dedicated field on all documents that you can handle exactly as you want. Another new features introduced in Business Central 21 is related to jobs. Jobs now, the new features now permits you to support item tracking in jobs. So item tracking module is extended, and it now covers job planning lines. From job planning lines, you have access to the item tracking, and you can define all the item tracking details for a specific job planning line. So like lot, serial, packages, and so on. You can obviously, if you select an item, a line with type item, you can click on item tracking lines, and it permits you to select from existing serial or lot numbers. And you can specify the item tracking only for the lines where the type of line is budget or budgeted billable. When you specify an item tracking, so a serial lot, this specification affects only the consumption of the process. So it will lots are transferred into job journals and so on, and item tracking is not transferred to sales invoices. So jobs now supports in Business Central 21 the definition of also serials and lots, missing features from previous version and sometimes require on some specific business. Another features related to this is also the possibility from jobs, from a job card, to directly create inventory pick or warehouse pick connected to a job. In Business Central 21, actually, to use the warehouse pick and warehouse inventory pick feature, you need to enable it. So in feature update, in feature management, you need to enable a feature called enable inventory and warehouse picks from jobs. And when enabled, it adds in your job card 2 new actions that permits you to create an inventory pick and create a warehouse pick from a selected line. And this opens the create warehouse pick page, where you can specify your picking methods and something like that, sorting methods assigned to a user, and so on. And when the picking is creating, the pick is automatically linked to the job line. And then you can enter into the standard process. When you receive the item or pick the item, the job line is updated, job costs are updated, and so on. So it's totally integrated into the job management. Another new feature available in Business Central 21 is the support for extended text in VAT clauses. Many countries in some scenarios requires long text for VAT clauses, and now Business Central supports this. You can, if you open the VAT clauses page, you have now the possibility to specify extended text, not only coded description, but also you can specify the extended text. And when you specify the extended text, the standard extended text page is open. You can specify an extended text for all language code or for a specific language code with 1 or n lines. And when you print an invoice, for example, the extended text are automatically pushed to the report, so exposed to the report. And you can also select what document types you want to have the extended text exposed. So you can select that, for example, on your sales, on your purchase, on your service, or for what type of document for each area you want the extended text exposed. Another, in my opinion, interesting features, sometimes often required, and in the past always solved with customizations, is the possibility to handle and posting item charges. In this new release, there's a new field called 2 new fields, sorry, for handling this, called item charge quantity to handle and quantity to handle on all documents. That permits you to handle the charges related to an item when you sell an item, for example, or receive an item, and you have also charges related to it. How these fields work, I think it's much better to explain with an example. So imagine to have a purchase order with 3 lines. These 3 lines are items, and there's a 1 line for charge. Normally, imagine that I'm in a scenario where only the first and the third line are received. So the second line is actually not received. And if I need to post this document, the item charges are not the amount that I have in the order, but because I not received entirely the order, but I should have a way to specify the amount of charges for only for the line that I received. So what happens in Business Central 21? You have now 2 new fields, as you can see here, that when you set the quantity to receive or quantity to invoice of the two items that I want to receive, normally I can click. I have to assign the item charge to the 2 lines that I want to receive. So I can click the item charge quantity to handle or quantity to assign, it's the same. And this opens a new page called, I can see here from this new page, the order lines. The page is called item charge assignments. And from here, I can click on suggest item charge assignments. It asks me, okay, what type of charge assignment do you want to use for these 3 lines? I want to assign the charge to each of line, for example, by amount, by weight, by volume, or equally. Equally means I can free lines the amount of charges, 1,000 euros, is divided for the number of lines. I want, for example, in this case, split the item charges by amount of the line. So a proportion of the charges split by the amount of each line. And it proposes me the quantity of charge to handle for each line and the amount of the charge assigned per line. So my total amount of the charge is 1,000 euros. This is how it splits the amount for line. Now, I only need, as said in this example, I want to receive only the first and third line. So I delete the item charges in the second line because I don't want to handle this. And I can then go back, close this line. And you can see that in the document, the total quantity to handle now is in red, and it has a value. It's in red because we have not handled entirely the charge, because only 3 lines are received. I can now go back, so post the order, so receiving only the first and second line with these item charges, and then post the invoice. When the invoice is posted, what happens on each document? The purchase order has 2 lines that are invoiced, and the item charge invoiced is this, and it has a remaining 2 invoice of this for the charge, because I need to again receive the second line. On the posted purchase invoice, I can see that the item charge is this value for this amount. The cost is this started, and this is the quantity. So the amount is not visible here, but it's a proportion of this. And in the item charge assignments, you can see that each line has its own assignments, and there's a remaining quantity of charge to handle that is this amount. So you have a possibility now integrate into the system to handle the item charges and automatically split the item charges for each lines. And when you receive partially the document, the item charge is automatically assigned to the invoice for the calculated amount. So no manual intervention or no customizations for this. Business Central 21 also introduces a new Intrastat experience. The Intrastat, I think that if you are from Europe, you know that the Intrastat is the report that the European Union requires you to produce in order to have statistics on the trade of goods that you do in members of the European unit. And now, normally in Business Central, in the past, you use the Intrastat report to do that. And the Intrastat report has lots of limitation because it's limited, because it's not easy to customize. Normally every customer has its own requirements. Every type of business has its own requirements. So Business Central, in this release, Business Central 21, you have a totally new redesigned Intrastat experience. The Intrastat now is no longer part of the base application, but is now a dedicated extension. And Business Central 21, in Business Central 21, the new experience, Intrastat experience, is disabled by default. You can enable it via feature management, and once you activate it, you can go back to the old functionalities. The new Intrastat functionalities is absolutely much more powerful. The old Intrastat reports was based on journals. Now you have a new page dedicated where you have a list of entries, and you can the new Intrastat page open this list of entries that you should export. The new Intrastat experience now also is based on what is called the data exchange framework. So why this? Because normally the Intrastat report, when created, should be exported in a particular format. This particular format is required by the European regulations. It's an XML format with particular formatting. In the past, the old Intrastat functionalities, the new format was hard-coded. Now, Business Center uses the data exchange framework. So the framework that you can use for a data exchange with create ADIs or something like that. You can create the file, and you can also change the out-of-the-box report and make your own, because you have an interface where you can specify what fields you need to export, in what format, and in you can also create rules for exporting fields. So you can create your own export format and your own grouping, your own fields to export, and so on. The new Intrastat experience has also other features, like, for example, you have a checklist. The checklist in Business Center, I think you know that it's a particular onboarding feature available in the role center that says that, okay, to complete this action, you need to do this, and when you complete an action, it's marked as done, and it's something like a reminder for you for all the steps that you need to require to complete an action correctly. So the new Intrastat experience uses also the checklist for this. You can also include fixed access in your Intrastat report. You can also for both goods and fixed access, you can also configure all other details like weight, units of measure, and also does recalculations about this. You can, as I said before, do manual corrections on lines before exporting, because now you have an interface to do that. You can configure the export as you want. And also the new Intrastat interface supports also not only items, but also service declaration. This will be available in November, but it permits you to report also services that comes from purchase and sales inside Europe. The new Intrastat, the dates to remember related to these studies, if you are from Europe. The new Intrastat experience is available starting from now. You need to activate it via feature management, as said before, but it's available starting from now for all countries that uses the WE1 version, and except for Austria, Spain, and Sweden. All the other countries, like Italy, like others, Germany, and so on, just to mention something, will only be available in November. And service declaration will be available as an additional app starting in November. So remember that Intrastat now is a dedicated app. No, it's not now in the base application, but it's a dedicated app. And as said before, the existing Intrastat functionality is deprecated. The new Intrastat application has 27 objects that, so the old Intrastat application has 27 objects that are marked as obsoleted. And in 1 year from now, so 2023 wave 2 will be removed. So in a year, you need to use absolutely the new feature, because the old feature, Intrastat feature, will be removed from the base application. And the transition from the old Intrastat to the new Intrastat is one process, one directional. Once you move to the new Intrastat, you cannot go back to the old. But this move is, remember that with this move, no data is transferred in the transition, and there's no overlap of existing a new feature, so no risk of data corruption and something like that. So it's something that if you are using standard Intrastat functionalities, it's absolutely recommended to switch immediately to the new interface and start using the new interface. Very quickly, the new Intrastat now is, as said before, a new app. So you have a new Intrastat app on top of the base application. The new Intrastat app is developed for extensibility, so you can create your own app, and the new Intrastat app will have dedicated extension to support country-specific formats or country-specific requirements. So it's based and created for extensibility. And you can go on top and create your own extensibility on top of that. Also, service in Business Center 21 has some minor improvements. In service documents, you can add information and related to emails. So you can, for example, define a report selection. In the report selection page, you have some fields like use for email and email body layout description. Then when sending, this will be the layout used when sending a report to someone. So also in service is supported on this feature. And when you create service codes, you can also include two types of items that are service item and non-inventoryable items. So you can, for example, take an item where the type of item is service. You can take an item where the type of item is non-inventory, and you can create your own service code that includes item that real item that are service, and item that are non-inventory. So you have the possibility to do that, and then you can use the service code inside your service order or something like that. So now service orders and service code supports also inventory and non-inventory service items and non-inventory items. A small modification, but sometimes useful, is in version 21 is related to the planning worksheet and the requisition worksheet, because in these two pages in the past was not possible to sort lines. So the strange behavior of this page is that, for example, if you select a worksheet page like a general journal, for example, you can have the sort, for example, a column for ascending and descending. In the planning worksheet, if you select a column, you cannot do that. You have no the sorter for sorting for ascending and descending. In Business Center 21, now also in planning worksheet and requisition worksheet, you have the possibility to handle the sorting. So handle the sorting in ascending or descending order also on these pages. And this can help on many situations. Another new application features quite interesting is the possibility to handle item variants in all the entire process as mandatory. This means that if you go into the inventory setup, now you have a new field called variant mandatory, if exists. This field is a new field that specifies if a variant is mandatory when selecting an item or not. And this field is specified in the inventory setup. And then it can also be overridden into the specific item card. So also in the item card, I have a new field called variant mandatory if exists. And this new field has three values. Default means that it takes the setting from the inventory setup. No means that no variant is required to be specified for when you select this item. And yes means that when you specify this item, you always need to specify a variant. Otherwise, you have an error. When this field is activated, so or in the setup, inventory setup, or in the item card, when you use an item, so for example, in the sales order, the variant code becomes mandatory, and you need to specify a variant code. If you don't do that, and you, for example, you post this order, you have an error saying that the variant code must have a value and so on. So it's mandatory to handle the variant code. And this permits you to control how variants must be used into the system, for what items variants should be mandatory and for what items should not be mandatory, and so on. So all the process now is integrated and better handled than before. In Business Central 21, we have also, I think you know that Business Central 20 integrates a set of possibilities of sharing files, something like that, or in OneDrive. And now OneDrive integration is also improved again. Now you have a new OneDrive setup in Business Central that permits you to specify what type of capabilities you want to connect to OneDrive. And here you can specify, for example, that the online version of OneDrive, Excel, Word, and so on can be used when editing documents. Editing in Excel now supports OneDrive. So when you click on Edit in Excel, OneDrive web version opens, and you can specify that will be mandatory. You can also use how to share files directly from Business Central. And when you share a file in OneDrive, now it asks you to, if you want to use the existing file, replace it, or keep both. So use existing is a new option that is available. Related to this, the new assisted setup, so to connect your files to the cloud, is a new assisted setup that permits you to specify the connection to OneDrive. And when you start the setup, you have two options to activate. The first is related to activate the features of OneDrive, so app features, possibility to download and upload the file and so on. And the other, the system features, is the possibility to enable some system features working in OneDrive. Like, for example, when you edit the Excel file, it will open edited in Excel for web. When you see a PDF, it will always open in OneDrive PDF viewer or something like that. And when you use this feature, and you do something like edit Excel, open Excel, or if you click on a link, open a PDF, and so on. If this flag is available, is activated, files are always open in Excel for web, Word for web, or OneDrive PDF viewer. So no need to external tools or something like that. Also remember that when you share a file in OneDrive or edit a file in OneDrive or something like that, the file is automatically saved into a folder in OneDrive called My Files, Business Central, and the name of the company. So if you open OneDrive, your OneDrive for Business, you will see that the file is here. Another feature currently not yet ready, but improved absolutely in the next community updates, is the possibility to search for strings inside the ERP. This is a feature that permits you to search for a string inside the ERP data. It acts like a search engine. So if you click on search and open this page, you can specify, for example, a word. Here I've written a name of an item, and it searches for this word inside all my database, a set of tables of my database, not the entire database now. And it says me that the results are grouped by entity. So if I search for this word, I can find that I have one item. I have 3 sales invoice lines. So not 3, but because you can click on here and show all the lines. You can see the purchase invoice lines and so on. So all the documents where you find that this word is present. And this you can also specify by clicking here. You can also specify the table that where the search is done. Actually, you have this set of table where the search is performed, but later you can also add your own custom tables, and the searching will go through these tables and search for word in all the entire records, and gives you the records grouped by type of record. So quite useful if you want, for example, to find, like in my example here, if I want to find this item where was used, I can directly type the item name or something like a description, and it can every word I want, and it can say it shows me the documents that contains this word. Okay, news for reporting. Also, the reporting part is related to the application part, but I grouped it in a dedicated area. Also, the reporting has some interesting new features. One is related to the possibility to choose a report layout when printing a report. In the request page now, users can have a drop-down where they can select the report layout to use for the report. And you can have multiple layouts for the same report. And a user can simply from here select what type of layout to use for that specific printing. And this is quite interesting. Also for reporting, but not directly inside the ERP, is now available a dedicated API for financial reporting. These dedicated set of APIs are permits you to do Excel-based or Power BI-based financial reporting. So custom reporting based on entities exposed as APIs. There's actually a set of tables, not entire tables, but in the future this will be absolutely improved. With these new finance APIs, when you go, for example, in Excel or in Power BI, and you click on Get Data, and you select the Business Central connector, now you have a group called Advanced APIs, and in Advanced API you have this group called Microsoft Reports Finance Beta. When you select this group, you have a set of tables that you can use for your financial reports, and these are normally the tables where the financial reports are based. So you can create the set of financial reports that you want, starting from this table, and create the reporting without going into the application. This new set of APIs are provided as a new extension. This new extension is called API Reports Finance, and it's available as a new extension inside the tenant. And I expect to have more more APIs exposed in for reporting. Also, the page inspector is changed. I think it's quite useful, this small feature, because in the past, when you inspect a record, you can only see that this record is called bill to customer number. The number of the field is this, but you will not be able to see the length of the field. Now the Business Central Page Inspector exposes also the length of the field, so you know that this is the length is this and the type is this and so on. So it's quite useful if you want to inspect records. There are also improvements related to user experience and onboarding. In the user experience, I think that one of the features that you start noting immediately is the new company switcher that is available anywhere in Business Central, directly from the application bar or using Control O with the keyboard. The new company switcher is advanced because it starts by listing all the available companies, and these companies are grouped by environment. You can also search, so you can search for company, and it filters the company name with the string you write, always grouped by environment. And when you have found your right company, you can click on switch in order to switch to the new company. And you can switch the new company in the current tab or open the selected company in a new tab in order, for example, to do data comparison between companies or something like that. Another new feature is related to the modern action bar. I think that you know that when you open a page in Business Central, you have an action bar where all the actions are displayed. And this action, you can promote actions, you can create groups of actions and something like that. But this action has some limitations. The customization is quite limited. Now, Business Central 21 starts by improving the action bar. Some small modification related to having the actions more immediately accessible are in progress. So now you have related action grouped together. The same action is normally the most important action are grouped, are immediately visible when you open a page. In the model action bar now, some menu are retired. For example, if you open the customer card in Business Central 20, you have a navigate menu. Now the navigate menu is retired. The content of the navigate menu is directly merged into the entity menu. So now you have a customer menu where it contains also the part related to the navigations. And the new action bar also has other modifications. So for example, the process tab is now called home in order to align it with the ribbon terminology using all the other Microsoft products. You can also now create group actions with split buttons. So some actions can be presented as split buttons. You can also pin the action bar from here in order to have it always open when you open the page, or unpin. Normally, when you open a page for the first time, this action is automatically pinned, so the action bar here is always visible in order to give the user immediately the actions available. But you can also unpin or pin it when you want. And also the lines if you have a page where with a subpage that contains lines, the subpage actions are now visible immediately without clicking more or something like that. So small improvements, but can improve the experience. And also remember that related to views, what is called a legacy view. So legacy view are all the views created in the past. These are considered deprecated, and if you have some views saved, you should start you and convert it to the new legacy, what is called the new legacy view. So view that you can create with the user interface, and you can do that by simply saving the legacy, the old view as a new view. This is mandatory until Business Central 23, and because if you have all the views, this won't be displayed on all these pages in the in futures. Related to onboarding, Business Central 21 also add the possibility to easily find apps to connect to some core services, like for example, banking application or something like that. In Business Central 21, you have a new experience in order to discover and install this third-party app from app source that covers a particular regulatory service. So if in Business Central 21, you have two new pages called banking apps and connectivity apps. When you click, you are listed as app certified to be banking approved for Business Central, for example. And directly, when select the app, you can click on install and install the app. Related to the installation of apps, there are some improvements because you can now the installation of an app gives you feedback. In the past, you need to go into deployment status and see the status. Now you have a smooth experience because if you install an app, you are seeing that the app is installing, and when the app is installed and is finished, the app, a message pops up saying that your app is installed and ask you if you want to set up now. Obviously, if the app supports a wizard for setup. You can also add your own setup. When you go into the extension management page and you select an extension, you have now a menu called setup that permits you to, from here, it permits you to open the setup of this app. Obviously, this app must have registered the setup in the guided experience table to do that. And if you click on setup, the setup wizard starts. To do that, it's quite easy. You need simply to subscribe to an event called called guided experience. The event is on register assisted setup, and from here you can you need to call this method in order to register your page, setup page, into the guided experience in order that to be able to someone click on set up your app and your setup starts. Some improvements are also done in this release related to the Power Platform integrations. One of the main improvements is the possibility to, I think that you know that Business Central 20 introduces the possibility to embed Power Automate workflows directly from the selected record. And if you create a Power Automate flow, embed a link to a selected record in the page that you want. So for example, in this case, the customer card, you have the flow available from here, and someone can click on automate, see the flows, click on the flows, input some parameters is the flow ask parameters, and then starting the flow. This action was not customizable in Business Central 21. So you cannot customize that action with personalize the page. Now these actions are personalizable, so you can move this action where you want, and you can customize these. And when the user signs for the first time in a new company, and you click on automate, it get started with Power Automate in order to a new menu appears in order to suggest to the user that he can use Power Automate to automate some tasks. But you can now import, in my opinion, you can now control this with roles and system permissions. So using permission and system permission to control this in order to, you can, for example, specify what group of user can see the automate group. So not user can, for example, not all users can see this and start workflows. You can also specify permission to user with these new groups available, or revoke permissions in order to avoid users and control what type of user and what users can use Power Automate inside your organizations. And the Business Center connectors for Power Automate and for Power Platform in general will add in November some more features related to the support for media files and the support for handling document attachments. So you can handle, for example, document attachment from a flow. Imagine, for example, if I want a flow that reads an attachment from an email and save this attachment as a document attachment in a sales order or something like that. You can do that. You will be able to do that with Power Automate. Or I always remember the connector is not only for Power Automate, but it's a Power Platform connector, so also available in Logic Apps or something like that. So up to you what type of technology to use. Okay, and the last part is related to the news introduced into the development part. Development has no extreme big news, but some news are, I think, that are quite interesting. Some small news. For example, one of the small news available is the possibility to use option access syntax in formulas. Much more clear, I think, with an example. I think that you know that in the past, when you specify a table relation, for example, source number, this is a piece of a standard code. Source number is related to if source type is from table 18, then the relation is with the customer number. Otherwise, if source type is 23, the relation is vendor number. And now you can do something like this, much more cleaner and much more elegant. Instead of using numbers, you should forget to using numbers. So now you can do that. Business Center 21. So IL language 10. And you can specify option access syntax in table relation formula or source table views, for example. Another features available in IL now is the possibility to read from IL code the raw version of the record. The raw version is a global number tracked automatically by the backend. So in this case, the Azure SQL runtime. When someone updates a record, and the raw version is incremental number and incremented in counter, incremented on every time someone needs or update a particular record. And this is often interesting to check if a record is modified, if or use it in queries or something like that. And this raw version is now exposed, and you can also read it from code. So there's a new syntax called rec.system raw version, gives you the raw version counter of the backend. Another quite nice feature in the developer environment is related to snapshot debugging visualization. Snapshot debugging is the possibility to debug remote code, for example, production code, and permits you to attach your debugging session to the customer section, for example, and check for a flow, and then it downloads the stream of the debugging session, the snapshot, what is called snapshot. It's downloaded locally, and then you can debug it offline inside your Visual Studio Code, check variables, and see where the error comes from. Now, with version 21, when you do a snapshot debugging section, so when you have downloaded the snapshot and you do what is called the snapshot playback, so you are offline checking what happens, clicking this, it permits you to go through the recorded snapshot. And now you can, this left side editor gives immediately put in evidence here, these yellow boxes, what are the lines where your code, your debugged code is going. So you can see that it's going here, going here, it's going here, and then it's going here because a function was called. And you can immediately visual bars to indicate which code was executed in your snapshot. And these visual bars can also be customizable. So you have a new parameter called a yellow snapshot debugger line seat decoration that you can specify in settings in order to customize this bar. Another possibility during always linked to debugging is the possibility to view SQL logs during debugging. This is quite useful if you are debugging a session and during the inspection of your code lines, you want to know in this particular code line, in this moment, who is locking the table, if the code is locking and who is locking the table. And when you update step through a line code, now Visual Studio Code gives you the evidence of if in this case someone is locking. And so when you debug, you know that someone here is locking, and maybe that would be source of problem or something like that. So also locking in during debug are put in evidence. Now there are other important things to remember. Behavior changes that Business Central 21 introduces. One is related to the resource exposure policy parameters. I think that all options are true in as default now, and you need to put it off when you want what you want. Now, related to this, there's also another new parameter. In the past, if you was publishing an extension to a tenant as a dev extension, so from Visual Studio Code, the parameter specified in resource exposure policies will not work because simply the system ignores them. In Business Central 21, now you have a new parameter called apply to dev extension. And this new parameter permits you to specify if the resource exposure policies applies also to the extension. And this is useful, for example, if you want to block debugging a dev extension, because in the past, the dev extension was always debuggable because it was developed for dev. But now you can control this by using the flag apply to dev extension. Another new interesting feature is related to upgrade code. You know that in an extension, if you move from a version to another of an extension, sometimes you refactor things, fields, tables, data structures, or something like that. And sometimes it's required to create what is called an upgrade code unit. An upgrade code unit is a code unit that is triggered automatically to the essential upgrade and performs things needed in order to complete the upgrade. Now, and normally these things are moving data. So I refactor a table. Now in the first version, I have one tables. Now I have two tables, for example. I need to move the past data that my customer have to the new tables. And to do that, now you have a new data type called data transfer that permits you to move data from old field or tables to new as you want in a more quick way, because this new data type works at SQL level without writing loops or something like that. So with this new data transfer data type, you can create, you point to your old table and new table. You can create a data transfer variable, and you can set the tables, what is the source and what is the destination of the data transfer, and you can map the fields from source to a destination that you want to move. You can also use joins between the old and the new table. And then you launch the data transfer with your data transfer variable .copy fields. This instruction works at SQL level as a set-based SQL instructions. So absolutely performant and extremely powerful. Also, the standard Business Central upgrade routines now are upgraded in Business Central 21, uses the new data transfer data type. And this permits you to having updates that normally are 2 times faster, so 90 times faster than before, so 90 per faster than the past. So absolutely more powerful. At the moment, this new data type is only available in upgrade code units. So it's not, you cannot use it for doing data transfer in your custom extension or something like that. So it's only available in upgrade code units, but this is for the moment. Microsoft is testing and expect improvements on this in future. I think it could be a new way of handling the version 2 of the transfer fields sentence. When you debug, another new feature, now you can also exclude the try functions from debugging. Try functions are functions that you can use in AI language to handle errors and avoid breaking if an error occurs. You can, when you debug, sometimes a try function, if you go into the try function, the debugger goes into the try function, and if you have an error in the try function, the debugger stops. Sometimes you don't want that, because a try function, if it is an error, is trapped by the system, so you want to delay the debugging. And now you can, to do that, you can specify a break on error parameter in the launch.json file. And the break on error now have 3 options. I mean 3 because false and true are here only for backward compatibility. But break on error are, you can specify all. That means that all errors breaks the debugger. None, the debugger does not break on any errors. And exclude try means that the new option means that the debugger breaks on errors only if these errors are outside a try function. So this is quite useful if you have try functions and you want to debug, excluding them. Another option related to debugging is the possibility to exclude temporary records when debugging situation of record writes. Until now, if you write to a temporary record and you are debugging, they are also writing to temporary records triggers a break. And if you don't want this, because you are debugging database writes, you can now specify the parameter called break on record write. And break on record write is a new parameter that permits you to specify all. That means that it breaks on all record writes. None, never breaks, and exclude temporary. Exclude temporary breaks on record writes only if you are not writing a temporary table. So improvements on the debugging experience. There are also improvements on the way you create actions. We saw before that now you have the action bar is changed. It's now called modern action bar. You have more powerful feature available. Now, also in code, you can control this. And page extension now permits you to better handling the grouping of action and the promotion of actions. You can now create references to actions and add them, this reference to the promoted groups. To do that, you can see that now you can create actions as in the past. I can create some actions with each action has its own name. And now I can create a group of action with a new keyword called action ref. And the new keyword P means that in this group, I want this action reference placed in that group. And maybe I want that in the area promoted. The area promoted means that I want to have that immediately available when the user opens that page. This is a standard object, as is actually created in Business Central 21, for example, the sales order page. But you can also do that in your custom objects. Sorry. So, for example, if I have some actions here, action 1, 2, 3, 4, I have defined my actions in my page. This is a piece of a page definition. And I want to promote some of these actions in a particular way. I can, for example, open the area promoted, go into the area promoted, and create some groups. For example, my action group 1, my action group 2. And on each group, I can place the reference to the action that I want inside that group. What happens in the user interface is that now, when the users open the page, in this case was the customer list, I have immediately available the action here when someone selects this group. And when someone selects the other group, I have the other action placed here, where I can pin and more easy way to organize the actions inside the action group. I can also show the action as in a different way. The standard way is showing the action as buttons. Now I can also specify a show as property, and the show as property now as an option or standard, means the standard visibility of an option like a button. And I can also specify split button. Split button specify that an action group is rendered as a split button. So I can do something like this. Is a piece of a standard page, show as split button. And this means that this group is actually shown like this and not as buttons here. So I can specify that some groups are specified as split buttons. This is a standard page, how happens. Another user interface improvements is related to the visibility of a list when you select the bricks mode. The bricks mode is the mode where you, for example, if you remember the item or the customer list, you can have the list of records, or you can see the view in under two different ways. The bricks is where you have more visibility on the page. You have for example, the images or something like that. And in pages now you can specify a field group called brick, where you can specify some fields, and the brick has in particular 4 fields that can be available. And if you specify these 4 fields in the brick, for example, this is a table, a custom table that I have that lists events. Each event has a code, a title, a speaker, an event date, and a description. And I want that the user, when the user selects the brick mode in the list, to have the number displayed on top, the title and the speaker on the second line, and the description, that can be a very long description, is not cutted. What happens here is that the list, if you select the brick, the list is appear as is. So I have my code, my title, my author, and the description. The description here, if it's a very long text, is not breaked here, but it goes on the another line. So it's always available entirely. So it's a new possibility that if you want to handle bricks and having long fields of bricks. AI language 10 introduces also a new command that permits you to generate or update permission set in the AI format. So this new command permits you to automatically create or update an extension set with all the objects that you have inside your extension. And this new object is generated as an AI permission set, not as an XML permission set that now is deprecated. So it's useful if you want to start creating permission set automatically. And you have also a new parameter in launch.json called the startup company that permits you to open a particular company when you test your application from Visual Studio Code. Well, if you want a particular company, you can specify it here, and it's open automatically. You have also a new parameter called no implicit width in features that permits you to, when you create a new project, to automatically enable and switching off the explicit width features. So on the control of the code, in order to avoid using width, and always specifically specifying the record that we are using. So explicit width I talked about in the past, and why it's quite dangerous in the AI era. So with feature set as default, the implicit width is checked on entire your code. Another finally useful feature is the application area. Default on fields is now defaulted to the page value, always on runtime 10, obviously. So starting from runtime 10, so this means Business Center 21. When you create a page, you can specify the application area as a page definition, and you have no need to specify the application area on every field, because if not specified, this inherits the application area specified at the page level. So what this means, that you can now do something like this. Application area is specified at the page level, all the other inherits the application area specified here. and no need to specify that again. Last feature available in Business Center 21. I talked about the possibility before to embed Power Automate in actions. You can also control them from IL code. So from IL code, now you have a new keyword called custom action, where you can specify a name and a custom action type that can at the moment it can be flow. You can specify then a flow ID, an environment ID for your flow. So your flow ID is the ID or your Power Automate flow, and the environment ID is the ID of your Power Automate environment where your flow runs. And this permits you to, via code, automatically publishing Power Automate flows to pages, and this can be controlled directly from IL code. Otherwise, you can control it, as said before, via permissions or via when publishing the flow. So this ends the overview of what is available in Business Central 21. As usual, it's quite a long list. Goal of all this event, periodic event, is give you a complete overview of what is available. Then you can go and check by yourself the specific feature, but I think that you have a clear overview of what is available now.
So in this case, thank you for everyone who joined, and let's start the Q&A session. I believe, Stefano, in this case, you could check the first
Yes.
questions that we have.
First question. Okay. Here, new item charge assignment. For clarity, this is still with the same vendor on the PO. More examples are that freight insurance is from a separate vendor. No, yes, this is for a particular order. So when you create an order, you have items on the order, and you have the item charge for this order. And if you receive the order, so for example, I create an order of a free bicycle from a particular vendor. The charge for this order is 1,000 euros. I receive only the 2 bicycles. The charge is not 1,000 euros, but it's a different value, and the system permits you to assign item charges automatically to the item I receive. So freight insurance issued from a separate vendor is something different than this case.
Okay.
I don't see other questions.
I see that if we could check, the chat, because I see that someone also have written a few questions in the chat instead of Q&A section.
Okay, chat. Sorry, I checked the chat. Could be great if users could manage to configure or center page add reports by roles. Just an idea. I agree. Can data type that transfer be used to transfer data from different apps? Merge apps into a single app. Data transfer data type can actually be used only on upgrade code units. So absolutely can be used to merge 2 apps, because if your upgrade code units your app depends from the app that you want to merge, you can do that. The only thing to remember is that it's only available in upgrade code unit at the moment. So if the code, the merging code is triggered from an upgrade code unit, absolutely possible, and it's absolutely powerful. Otherwise, if you plan to do that from an action or something like that, at the moment, no, it's not available. But from a Greco URI, the answer is yes, possible.
Okay,
Thanks,
great.
Amit and Alexander. Thanks a lot. No other question, I think.
No, at this moment, I see that we don't have any additional questions. So okay, we can wait either for a minute or two, and before we'll end the session. Once again, I would like to remind all of them, all of the participants, that the recording will be sent within upcoming day or two. Of course, after 2 days we'll have weekend, so either it should be Friday or Monday next week. And as we had some details in the very beginning of the session regarding Simplanova's AL tool, if you would like to see how the tool itself works, maybe with your own project, just visit our website simplanova.com, leave us an inquiry, or contact us directly simply while sending an email, sales@simplanova.com, and we'll get back in touch with you shortly. And at the same time, of course, within the 25th of October, we'll have a case study webinar with one of our clients. So we'll inform you about this one as well. And also I see that we received another question, but this one also is in the chat.
The new Intrastat experience is available in Italy starting from November 2022. Actually, not available. So just quick question to Sarah. Other question in the chat.
It was from
Administration question. What about changes to delegated admin privilege? Changes that were announced by Microsoft. Can you summarize what actually we change? Changes for related to delegated admins. I think we have talked a lot about that in the past. To summarize them quickly, now delegated, what is called in the past delegated admin, is deprecated, because delegated admins will not permit you to specify granular permissions. If you request to a customer a delegated admin permissions in the past, you become an admin of on their tenant. So Microsoft has deprecated the delegated admin in favor of what is called the granular delegated admin. The granular delegated admin is a more controlled relationships where you can fine-tune the permissions that you want to have with your customer. And what happens is that the granular delegated admin is the new way of creating relationships with customers. Delegated are deprecated. So what happens is that Microsoft with if you have the granular delegated admin, if you have delegated admin, you should ask your customer also the granular delegated admin privilege. Microsoft will, the plans are to convert, if you don't do that until end of October, as a plan to convert the granular, the delegated admin to granular automatically, if possible. I honestly don't suggest to wait. You can simply go into your partner portal and create a new relationship with your customer as granular now. And when established, the granular delegated admin has precedence over the delegated. So when the delegate is revoked, you have the granular is established, and you are ready to go. When you requested the granular delegated admin, I think that for Business Central, the minimum requirement that you have is the permissions called Dynamic 365 Administrator. That is the permission required in order to administer the Business Central tenant.
Okay, great. I see that all the questions were answered, and most probably we can finish for the day, unless you would like to add something additionally, Stefano.
No, I think there are no other questions. I think that for the overview is done. I encourage everyone to check the new version. And if you have other questions, feel free to reach me or Simplanova directly for other questions. Hoping to see some of you in at Directions next big event in person that we'll have in Hamburg. And
Sure.
thanks for Simplanova for, as usual, hosting this event.
Great to have you here, Stefano. Great to have you here. So thank you everyone for joining. I hope you had a great time, and most probably soon we'll be able to meet in person during Directions.
Absolutely.
Thank you, and have a
Thank
good
you, everybody.
evening.
Bye bye to
Bye-bye.
all. Bye bye.